Oscar no nos vea,
Thank you very much. We have a super interesting panel here, right? This is going to be moderated by Raquel. Hello, Olga. Let me tell you that Raquel was a student of the first school that we held in 2009. And it was at a time that when we didn't have Google Translation. And she translated hand by hand into Portuguese. A pleasure to be here. She held important positions in Internet Society. She's working in NECBR now. Greetings from Adriano, Oscar, and from all the people coming from Brazil here. It's almost bilingual because we learn Portuguese from them and they learn Spanish from us. We are going to have a panel on how to participate in different spaces and diversity. Raquel, could you introduce the panelists? Perfect. Thank you, Olga. Not so long ago, we were saying that Portuñol is going to be the official language. I'll try to address my presentation with a combination of English, Spanish, and Portuguese, especially Spanish and Portuguese. We have a national holiday here in Brazil. It's a pleasure to moderate once again a panel in the SSIG with Carolina Brandao, Benda Cardesine, Julian Manuel, and Harold Arcos that is joining us soon. While I call them, I'm going to say who these people are. This is a panel on the opportunities for inclusive participation in virtual spaces of ICANN and ITU. I think we learned on the topics and the inclusion spaces, and right now we would like to say what to do, how to participate. This is the next step while people are becoming more acquainted with internet governance. So it is great to hear from those that are leading these processes and at the same time they're open for welcoming even more people. I would like to start with Carolina Brandam, that is the founder of the DNS Women. She works for the Telecommunication International Institute or Union for the Americas. Carolina, it's great to have you here. Could you tell us something about the ITU in order to promote the inclusion of women and girls who are in technology?
Hola Raquel, ver, ya tenemos, ok.
Hello, good afternoon. I would like to welcome the organizers for giving me the chance and for everybody to lead this initiative for the Americas. It's a great opportunity to talk about the ITU activities and to promote how women are going to be involved in these technologies. I know that a launching is coming, so I will stick to the agenda.
Y pido disculpas por mi
I apologize because I speak Portuñol. Hopefully, the translators can translate this mixture of languages.
donde
where we discuss a text about gender equality. This is a leader organization in gender equality, and we use technologies as tools for both gender empowerment and to implement strategies and motivates girls and kids in environments dominated by men, mitigating the gender gap. This is an approach with zero commitment and multisectorial in education and technologies. Before we speak about our activities that promote participation of girls and women in new technologies, let's talk about the gender gap. In the next slide, I would like to show a comprehensive vision. The potential of internet must be egalitarian, and here it is interrupted, but there are 2,600 million people that are not connected nowadays, mainly kids and children and women, and mainly in developing countries, which creates a specific need to support equality of gender in the international community. Very few people use internet compared with the percentage of women using that. In 2020, in comparison with 86% in the developed countries. In most countries with great gender gap, there it also happens in mobile phones, given that this is the main media with internet access. The gender gap can be very influential in the use of um, and the empowerment of all girls and women. In the next slide, we would like to show how the inclusion of women can benefit the technological industry and society in general. So, what are the benefits of the technology industry? Diversity. Women contribute with different approaches, which can lead to more creative environments. The development of goods and services can be also benefited from that diversity, more innovation, co- companies can develop goods and services and enter new markets. And it is essential talking about the technological industry, which is a very, very competitive sector, including women and talent is essential in a sector that has a specialization shortage. What are the benefits for society in general? The mitigation of women inclusion in technology will mitigate the gap in incomes, for example, which contributes to higher e- social and economical equality. The developed technology by a diverse force can be more accessible and inclusive and will enhance the solving of marginalization. Inclusion of women in technological industry is a moral issue and also a boost for innovation, economic growth, and social betterment. How our organization has contributed to this. We are working in order to improve, create awareness and include women, ICT, digital abilities. Our the job of the is the integration of an approach based on gender equality and women empowerment through technologies, information technologies, and communication, as well as policies and actions in the mainstream. The second objective about the strategic plan of the, in In the Agenda 2030, there is an objective in order to reach gender equality in mobile phones. Over the years, we have led initiatives in order to include more closely in order to help girls and women to be included in economies and societies and to ensure internal processes with the goal of getting to models of gender equality. We have the International Day, which is an emblem in order to encourage women and girls to e-
Participar.
And they have participated in different celebrations in different countries around the world. We also have the Equals Association, also part of the ITU, part of the UN, and they place women in the center of international commerce. And they started in 2016 and got together more than 100 different actors from the public and private sector to ensure that all women around the world could reach and improve those leadership roles and they could participate in the digital economy. This organization organizes the ICOS Awards, annual awards to celebrate projects and initiatives to celebrate the participation of women and children around the world and to close the gap. Together with the improved framework AES and the Service Office for the Projects of the United Nations, they are trying to improve access to digital technologies and to develop these tools for women in less developed countries. Ethiopia and the Americas, we have Haiti, and the aim, the main goal is to improve the political role and also improve the government's capacity to integrate women so we can improve economical opportunities, professional opportunities of all women in across all ages, particularly those in working ages. So we also have workshops, as like for example the African Girls Can Cope. We also have in the Amer- Girls Can Cope. The objective is to empower young women and women to create, design, so they can act as a model. And we also have an online community to share different experiences. We also have the mentoring program for women, which tries to inspire and empower women. We also have the pilot program, which is open to African women, and in um, Saudi Arabia they work in cybersecurity, and other women who would like to enter this field. There are other initiatives. So, for example, Cisco Eco's learning program, which is free, and it will train people in cybersecurity, enterprise, the Internet of Things, among others. We have a World Summit about Information Society, which plays a special importance in digital environments. Please, let's go to the next slide. And what are the current challenges? What are the main challenges that we need to overcome to guarantee inclusion of women in technology? So despite the advances that we have made, there's still a gap in science and technology. Women and children have less probabilities to enter these fields because there is still gender inequality and lack of models to follow. So there's discrimination, lack of models, limited access to some resources. So often women have less access to some resources, but male colleagues might have access and they might limit their innovation capacity. So what's the vision for the future? So the ITU have created initiatives, as I mentioned before, to increase the participation and naming female delegates, as well as creating study groups, increasing publications, and we're very committed with a plan to interact and improve women in work in this sector. So we have implemented um, the responsibility, precision, and integration. So all the personnel in this organization can include and also improve the quality of work for all. We have also contributed to the United Nations of the Internet of Things, including women in governmental forums. And we are planning to continue with these initiatives to include more children and women, and include tutorials and education.
Mentor programs, programs of gender equality, DAOs, recognition, global initiatives. With these goals, we seek to create a more egalitarian sector where women can contribute to innovation and global growth. I thank you for this opportunity. In the last slide, next slide, I, I am willing to answer any questions that you may have. Uno y uno. The programs of ILO have advanced a lot in terms of inclusion of women and girls in more than we have to mention the contribution of Doreen Martin, who is the first woman presiding this organization. So these are little but firm strides. So it is a pleasure for me to move on to the next speaker, who is already participating in the program NS Women of ICANN and other women programs regarding internet governance. So it is a pleasure to give the floor to her. Thank you very much, and I hope that you like my presentation. Carolina has already participated. She worked in Telebras here in Brazil a long time ago. For me, it's been more than 40 years working in telecommunications. But the conditions have changed a lot in terms of women participation. We have a general director who is a woman. Could you move on to the next slide, please? What is our mission? It is to increase the number of women who participate in DNS industry, especially where the access is limited and where men are the majority in general. And our work is to connect professional women and offer opportunities to other women who can work jointly. We have worked a lot, and we have created new opportunities. Actually, because being at home sometimes help women to access to professional environments who cannot face the infrastructure for bringing up children and provide them the opportunity of practicing sports. This is a great limit. So having an opportunity of working at home can be very beneficial for women. This presentation can be distributed to all the participants in order to provide them with all the information. Next slide, please. Thank you. So this is us in 2009 in ICANN, we were very few women, especially in relevant positions. And we had the difficulty of participating in this business world. So we got together and started this activity in June 2009 in Sydney. Next slide. We served breakfast, cocktails in meetings, and we had 24 events in 5 continents. Now, 374 registered women in 69 countries. We have 70 countries, 9 chapters in different places, like Isla Cook in Cook Island, Sydney, Washington, India. So we are continuously growing, and we are replicating this model in other countries. We have many sponsors. We are deeply grateful to them. But most importantly is that, please the pictures in the next slide. Here there's an approach. We have a picture of Buenos Aires long time ago. We have been in Singapore 5 times. Also last year in Washington, in Morocco 4 times. So there is a world out there, and we had the opportunity of including women from these regions, from universities, engineering, and mathematics schools. So we have a diverse participation. Please, next slide, please. What have we done? The first thing we did is to distribute chapters in the women participation, sellers, for example. It may sound old-fashioned, but for example, beauty products. And also the names of domains. It gives opportunities of low-income countries. This activity may help with resources for women who are not highly skilled, with little training, and it was easy to implement. With a more technical base, we were providers of internet access and other kinds of training that we provided around the world. Then we worked with data protection initiatives, universal acceptance, security, visibility of ICANN, and the introduction of businesses, which also offer job opportunities for women who were following us and were participating of our meetings, as it has always happened in ICANN. We, we are open to the world through the internet. So we always have an international participation when in-presence activities are not possible. We have worked widely. We are working with young people to show them how much they can contribute with mathematics and engineering, especially through the internet. This was our last discussion. Next slide. This is simply some statistics we have, some polls. This is the second semester of this year, and comparing 40, between 40 and 50 women in companies have been the most important number of the showing the participation of women in business. They are lawyers, business women, technical staff. In ICANN, we have lots of technicians. Next slide. We, we are many professionals working here. This is not the reality of the world, but it is indeed the reality within ICANN. Oh, in every government and private businesses, this may not be the case, but in 2015 we have the highest participation. We hope that next times we can have a more balanced or a more balanced participation. ITF, ITU, these more technical areas are related to the internet. One more. I would like to draw your attention about new models because one of our women, Kathy Clayman, was one of the who contributed inventing the she was a teacher of mathematics as a primary school. At that time, women were absolutely ignored. And Kathy managed to find their memories. Some others were interviewed. This was a great contribution that served us as a model. In the city, we are working on seeking women who are contributing to the internet, carrying out interviews of these women, in order to maintain the to register the history of the women participation in the internet. These are our latest data. In the US, had 25% to 25, 28% in computing and mathematics, and the participation of we are now over the 30% in the average participation in ICANN. It used to be the 29%, and the latest figures throw 33%. So we are making an important difference in order to bring women to our institution. In these polls, we have new chapters, and this year we reached India, and we are seeking for some others. Expansion of statistics, training, we're data protections, cybersecurity. And we are preparing a webinar for women this semester, and we are planning to publish on our website old content that we couldn't find the time to translate into all languages. So we are going to conclude, and I'd like to thank to all the present fellows there. The membership is very easy to perform. She is a very geek. He's a geek. So if you have any questions and want to participate, you are very welcome.
Thank you so much for this inclusive work and for your presentation. You have inspired us all, and you have inspired more women, so more women can join. But I want to say that that men are also welcome, and they can all participate. Of course, they can participate. They might not be able to become a member, but they can participate. And there are many who are already participating. And don't forget that you can flirt a little bit if you wish. And that you're all invited. And you can join us at 10:45 on the 13th of June, 10:45 a.m. We will be waiting for you to join us. So now I would like to introduce another part of ICANN, which is the users, and it's one of the constituencies that you have already heard in the school. So now we have Harold Arcus. Harold, can you hear us? I know you were on video, but it had to be removed. Do you think you could rejoin us? Hi, hello Raquel. Hello. I just turned my camera off for not to have issues with the signal later. So thank you for joining. I just wanted to introduce you. So Harold is the Vice President of La Crala. Oh, so now you're the president. I'm sorry. I did not have the right information. So, Mr. President of Aclaro, please, the floor is yours. Thank you. Thank you very much. Once again, as I always say to the school, is great. The project and the work that you do. We all know how difficult it is to organize a panel, and it's, it's a very complex organization, an event that could open the spaces and open the debate, and that after professionals from and students from different areas, from technology, law, computing, can access. In carry out one single activity is difficult. So imagine how difficult it is to carry out so many wide activities for over 16 years. So it is incredible to have this space, and we are glad that all the communities are keep active in this field. And also want to congratulate Raquel because and everyone has been participating for so many years, and it is a privilege to count with the community of ICANN. So was in Hamburgo, in Hamburg, as a president. Some of you might wonder, what is this? How is it that users of internet have a space within a global organization that is so important as ICANN? Within ICANN, there is a model which is called the multi-state model, multi-stakeholder model. And everyone can participate in negotiation of domains and every part that forms the ecosystem of the internet. So anyone can have a space to participate, governments as well. Let's remember, or let me put you in context. This regional organization of internet users from Latin America and the Caribbean. That is the organization that is within the organization, like ILS. What are the ILS? Every one of you who's listening today or is connected because you are interested to know more about the ecosystem and the internet governance at a global scale. But you might think, well, where is that? So each one of you, to some degree, we are final users, end users. But for example, an internet provider might also be an end user and might have to deal with all the infrastructure. I might have all of the infrastructure, but it wouldn't work without the internet. And if there's no one who guarantees the well functioning of the internet, it wouldn't work. So we, the citizens, as individuals, we cannot compare as well with a company that depends on the internet. So end users, although we're all end users at the end of the day, they're also individual users. Your mother, your aunt, your uncle, your brother, and some might have more knowledge than others. So the researchers, the engineers, so for example, Raquel, Wanda, we do have more light into these topics. But remember, knowledge also gives you power. And that comes with a huge responsibility. So as citizens, you can participate within the internet governance. And I would say you must participate because that need of participating in those issues that might affect your country, and each time there's a more and more awakening of this need of participation. We need to participate in the policies. Internet allow us to participate in the policies that will form this ecosystem. How do we do this in each region, Europe, in the Pacific, Asia, North America, Africa? North America, also considered within ICANN as a region in Latin America and the Caribbean, from Mexico to Patagonia. We have different areas, different regionals of users. And those regional organizations of Latin American and Caribbean, LAC, for the it's the acronym. So you all have the opportunity to participate. But how? The first thing would be to get in touch with the regional area of managers of where you are. So in Latin America, um, we we would have websites of the LAC community, and we also have ICANN, where you can enter and say and search. And I'm going to try to share it right now. So you can see it in the chat. So you can just click there, and we all know the work of the school, so it's not lack of um, contact, but this could be very handy for you to have. So most of the wonderful panels that we had, um, you could find them there, and this are always separated and segregated in this geography. And this segregation is based in the geographical areas in the region. So you can obtain a lot of information by entering in your region. So the green region is our region, Mexico from Patagonia. And you can simply write to us and say, I would like to participate as an end user. How can I join a mail list? Or how can I participate? Well, email. Email is one of the main tools that we have to participate, and you'll be included in mail lists with information. Well, I'm new. For example, I need more information. How do I put myself forward to participate of the program? There is a scholarship program, and every time there is a general meeting of ICANN, there, but you need to allow plenty of time because there will be a call, so anyone can write to us and tell us why they would like to participate. So each person who's participated has a great advantage because it's the entry. It's already accessing knowledge and being in touch with the internet governance ecosystem, having the basic knowledge, and that's the importance. That's being one step ahead. Then, of course, there's a form to complete, and you could apply for a scholarship. The selective process is quite diverse. And what's the meeting that we're talking about? So there are 3 meetings a year. In the first semester in March, then in June, and then at the end of the year, which is the EM, which is the general annual meeting. It could be in September, it could be in October. So those meetings are presential. But during the whole year, throughout the year, there are working meetings which are online. We've got a Zoom meeting in which every time we have discussions over global policies of internet governance. So anyone who's interested has the doors open to participate. So please pay attention to the website and also to social media. And when the program opens, please apply. And if you are successful, you will be invited to the annual meeting, to the presential meeting, and you'll also be able to participate the scholarship program that will take by the hand to all professionals so they can closely know all of the mechanisms of policy development, and you will be joining teamworks related to this topic. That's very important, how you enter. If you can apply to the scholarship system, is a great way to enter. So back to the regional, from Mexico to Patagonia, we want to integrate our perspective, our gender perspective. So we can say that we have taken small steps. So historically, we didn't have a rota. Of course, it's a big, great region. There wasn't a rotation. We are worried to have a gender equality or balance. So the roles of leadership, for example, the one I'm currently in, there were only two, the Secretariat and Presidency. Today, we have Secretariat, Vice Secretariat, Vice President, and President. Are we still on time? Do we still have time? So that modification had a huge impact. It was incredibly important. And we understood that we need to find that balance in terms of criteria. However, at a global level, there is a high number of participation, women's participation, but it's not reflected in leadership. And that's not because women cannot be leaders, or not because they don't have the capacity. That's not the case. They have all of the skills and abilities, same as masculine gender. It's a mechanism that historically persisted, and all of us who work in this area, we know that one of the first barriers that we need to overcome is to set the basis of any organization. And it has to be a written report. But also we have a cultural barrier in which also the groups of women who are leaders, they might display in the eyes of the men leadership that there is something suspicious. Men might say, no, but she's not coming because she hasn't got the experience. She's not joining because her experience is not long enough. However, there are many who might get the job without the experience. So we need to overcome this cultural barrier. But this debate, these arguments in the masculine dynamics might be a common topic. And this is not only related with technology, this happens across every field and every research we have carried out. We have discovered similar outcomes. And the second obstacle is the cultural one. And some organizations cannot overcome this barrier. So we do urge, we call everyone to use the space generated for participation. But we also have to be very alert as professionals, as human beings, to this debate in which we might justify mechanisms that actually close participation to others. They close participation to any new person who wants to get into the field. Women, men, but as an organization, at the same time we do say, oh, but we need new people, but we don't really comply with what we say. But then those cultural mechanisms that coexist, and as leaders, we need to be very alert, because if that happens within our organizations, we must not follow or consolidating a cultural mechanism that doesn't belong to us. It's old-fashioned. It needs to evolve. So in this technology field and gender equality, I think it's crucially important to consider this, and we leave it to debate. So the participation icon mechanism is relatively easy, as and the participation spaces are, and the doors are open to participate in spaces like this. One example, and just to close, is not a project from RAL, is an example of one organization, just as I mentioned, that has individuals, has technicians, researchers. You look to participate, you can join people in your country of origin, and you can register as users organizations, and that is called within the organization a structure. And you are registered in that country, so you can participate within the organization, so you can participate as an individual or as a group of individuals. A classic example is what we all know, the LS of Adrian, Olga. They've been participating for many, many years, and they have found how they can contribute from their work and their perspective, and they even have won awards from UNESCO, among other organizations. They had more than 2,000 votes, and they have recently won an award from an interregional organization. It's a project in which they have been working for over 16 years. So they have maintained for over that time a space for participation, debate, and many of ICANN leaders who today are actively participating in ICANN, many of the panels have started with a small organization. So this is an example, a very clear example of how much you can do as an individual or as an organization or a group of individuals. Thank you, Raquel, and I'm very grateful to be in the panel. Thank you very much, and congratulations, Olga, Adrian, and all of the participants who won the award. Thank you for your excellent work. And I'm going to introduce the next panel, and I'm sorry, I need to apologize that we are running behind. I don't want to put pressure, but he's one of my friends, Juan Manuel Rojas. We have coincided in many spaces, in scholarships and fellows in this world, but Juan is going to talk about a different space of ICANN, which is the generic name support and organization. Juan, let's go ahead.
Thank you, Raquel. Thank you, everyone, for this invitation. And in this case, is we ICANN has two big groups. It is a support organization. Basic realities are in the support processes, and also a structure. First, we discuss policies that have to do with generic domains, with
And we started with generic names like .ar, .br, but those are the ones that allow us to have a more personalized domain like .info. So that was discussed there, and the policies were created there as well. So within the GNSO, So that's almost like the ICANN Parliament, because that's where we make decisions and we approve the policies that were discussed in the forums. And we can address if it's viable or not, because within that organization we also have big companies like Google, um, from internet providers, from the registrars and registries. I go back to the sorry, I always go back to the acronyms. But also we have one space for e-commerce users. So, for example, Mark, who I think I've seen in the panel or in the audience, I think he's there. He also participates in the GNCO. I form part of a small group, the non-commercial stakeholder group, and at the moment I'm the chair of the group that non-profit organization for citizens, and it's also non-commercial stakeholders. I haven't mentioned everyone, but in the GNCO, it's something that generates important debates, and that's a huge space that you can reach through an application, just like Harry said. Um, any organization could be part of another space within ICANN. So, for example, they can join one of the constituencies if you are interested in working with businesses in internet or intellectual property constituency, and the non-commercial users, that's where I work. And we can say that in that space, everyone could join, and the participation is very diverse in terms of gender and age. So one of the main barriers for the Latin American people is that a lot of people cannot speak English, or they might do, but not as they would like to, and all of the conversations take place in English language. So many people might not be able to participate due to the language barrier. Harry mentioned the fellow program, but there's also an inclusion program which is called I Can Learn, which is the Academy of ICANN, where anyone can do a course in Spanish, or we can learn what is GNCO is, what are the different committees are, and with those courses we can understand the ICANN structure. So we got the GNCO, where we discuss the codes of different countries. We got the security, stability, and that's a root server. And all of those are linked with all different working groups. But there's also a representation of each group or constituency. So we can name that secretariat or that board that finally will make the decisions whether they approve or not some policies. And currently we are discussing various topics within this organization, for example, the new applicants program for the new round of TLDs, and we're discussing how this organization could help the applicants or might actually obtain an economical benefit on what type of organization could it be. So that's just only one of the many discussions and debates we're having in our team. And any of you is invited to participate. And you can also join us as an observer, because you might want to participate, but you might not know enough about the subject, but you can observe, and that way you'll be able to understand and learn what the organization is about and what the group is for, and the dynamic that we have. So like Harold mentioned, so the initial discussions or debates when all of us are in our countries, we actually use mails to communicate. So that's how we communicate and participate, but we also have presential spaces that we do have 3 times a year. So, for example, we are going to meet in Rwanda very shortly, I think next week. So there we do have all those participation spaces, and just to round it all up, and we can take some questions if you're not sleeping by now. Thank you very much.
Mucho más tiempo.
We have run out of time, so talking about the organization, Carolina has also shared her contact, and your questions will be very welcome in this contact. Thank you very much to the panel for participating. For those who are in Brazil, now it is a holiday, and above all, for bringing your view of those who are part of ICANN and showing us that this is an inclusive participation. Olga, the floor is yours again. No, don't leave because we have questions. Of course, we are always good afternoon. Rosa Merlin from Mexico. I think it is key to discuss and reflect about digital gap and the women's role everywhere in the world. So I think it is key talking about the women empowerment and how they are incorporated in objectives, goals, in organizations like ICANN, ILO. And in that sense, for me it is key not to observe women as an object, but as a key role, a key participant in economy, and how they can reach equality, because it is something to be overcome mainly in Latin America, and women cannot be considered as a homogeneous population. It's not the same talking about black woman who lives in the jungle than a black woman who lives in an urban area. We need methodologies and programs that incorporate a higher percentage of women. Where can they exercise this kind of professions, and with decision-making positions to create development, innovation. Otherwise, it seems that we see technology as magic, leads, which leads us to development. What are the approaches and methodologies used in these programs, in these policies, in order to mitigate or reduce that digital gap? Before answering, I would like to say that and encourage women to be applicants and apply for every opportunity they have. Because when I was younger, a lot of positions were offered to women, but women didn't apply. So I encourage them to do so. My question is for Vanda, but also it is a general question. Some things are necessary. I'm sorry, I am from Brazil. First, I'd like to talk about an initiative taking place in Brazil regarding black people, women, and from the internet governance in the Amazon. We want to extend the participation of women in the north of Brazil who are included in these fields, and people who work with digital or topics regarding internet. And we would like to broaden this participation. So if someone is online, as a reply to this, we have extended the debate about these topics. Spaces like this, I have perceived very low diversity in fields like this. So we need to broaden that diversity with different perspectives, because black people were not very frequently included in these spaces. So I would like to think and to reflect how much we can advance and make progress in that multi-sector environment, because it depends on who are hiring those corporations. In general, women are the least included in government, in corporations. They are usually men. So those positions are limited to men. So can we broaden that multi-sectorial invitation to women? When we invite organizations, we cannot make it clear that they can be men, women, black or white. It is not possible to make it clear. And sometimes people think, or women think, that they cannot apply because they will not be chosen. In fact, in my career, I have missed or I have lost many opportunities because of the fact I was a woman. But in other occasions, I could get them. Olga, your experience is very valuable. I have experienced something similar from my lawyer position. We need to understand how to access to those leadership positions. I would like to thank and start with questions. This is a very simple question for all of you. When we started, we only had white, professional, high-skilled women. But nowadays, we have hundreds of Africans, women with low professional development, because we started with this inclusive approach. I would like to have more information. I have provided my email address, so if you haven't had it yet, you can copy it and you can send me all the materials, because in my opinion it is very, very interesting. I have been talking with other people about this, how to include native groups. For me, it is very, very interesting to approach the black people problematic, because I have a black grandchildren, so my family is very diverse. So different personal situations, especially those implying women who are black, Indian, women who look different and can fall into very biased judgment. Most of the interviews, in most of the interviews, women with a different appearance are so I would like to provide my contact in order to expand women participation in the North area and in ICANN. Carol, so reducing this gender gap not only requires policies, but also the underlying causes like education, jobs, technology, and participation in these fields. I think that these approaches can be more effective when they are approached jointly and coordinated. And the collaboration among governments and NGOs, private sector, civil society is key in order to reduce gender gaps in a more sustainable way. Thank you, Carolina. Juan Manuel? Thank you, Raquel. I would like to add that is very important for me is that actually the ICANN CEO is a woman. and she's all, I don't remember her surname, but the most important positions of ICANN are held by women. The fellowship is absolutely inclusive. Many years ago, there was a pilot program for all communities. At present, most applicants are from Africa. But the problem is that they are very, very few. So it is that we don't apply because we think we are not going to be chosen. So it is important to encourage everyone to apply. Olga is in Argentina, Mark, and I am here in Latin America together with Osvaldo and 2 people in GNZO, now Mark and Bruno. We also have low participation regionally in ICANN. So we would like to expand not only the gender participation, but also the regional participation. We want to expand geographical participation because we have many Africans working in Latin America, and we are open to offer places for everybody. Thank you, Juan Manuel. I think that Harold has also shared his email address. You can send your questions. It is important to consider that significant connectivity and the significant participation must reach all Latin America and must be very representative in the field. And we invite them to get involved in these mechanisms in order to reach leadership positions. Different forms of diversity have been mentioned. All of them must be included. The floor is yours again, and we apologize again for the delay. Thanks, Raquel, and all the panel. It was excellent. I hope to see you anywhere in the world, in presence or online. And we